much better do you think your defense is now than it was certainly at the end of last season, maybe even through the spring or first part of preseason?
It's hard to say. We have a pretty good feel for where we think the new players will fit in and the maturity. Dre Chatham's better, Derek Burton's better, Junior T's better, Lacey's better. Pat Levine's now going into his third year. He's mature. Ori Lemons showed up and made plays. But it's hard to say how much better. I think a true test obviously comes at game time, and then how they stay together and how they progress as the season goes on. They're not going to all of a sudden become a steel curtain in Seattle. But they're better, they're more mature, they're faster, and I think their team chemistry on that side of the ball is much better.
Has the physical nature that you saw early on and that we saw when the practices were open, has that continued on?
It sure has, yeah. Lucian, Donald Booker, Sexton's gotten much more physical. Swanson Miller. Anytime you get a 300-pounder that can run a little bit, it makes a difference. So there's more players there that are showing up faster and making tackles out here on the field.
Coach, a little bit ago, Zach was saying that last year before the Georgia game, the team was really focusing on that game since even back in January leading up to the season. This year they're not really doing that with Washington State. Is that just because Georgia's a bigger name, or are you guys changing your approach?
We haven't changed our approach. I think that because of who Georgia was, that only through human nature that it was talked about constantly. And Washington State has players that can make some plays at the skill positions. They got the quarterbacks, the big kids playing well for them. What we hear, their tailback is athletic. They've got the big receiver. Their tight ends have made some plays. They've got an experienced linebacking group. They've got a couple new guys that have stepped in on their defensive side that are supposed to make plays for them. So, we're not putting Washington State on a different level, but I'm not necessarily putting them from a outside perspective on the same level as Georgia. For me to sit up here and say that, everybody'd look at me like I was crazy. And I think there was so much talk outside of this facility with Georgia that's more of what he's referring to. But our players understand that we'll have to go out there and play well, not turn the ball over, be sound on special teams, and not give up big plays to win the game. We're not just going to be able to go out there and throw our hat out there and Washington State's going to roll over.
Mike, you talked in the bowl game about the offense not changing at all against Indiana. It didn't appear to. You said somewhat of the same things through spring and into this season. You didn't want the offense to change. You wanted to keep it status quo. How close to status quo is it?
Well, the reason I say that is because I think the consistency in building a football program for the long haul is not to change a whole lot. I think that if the system that we believe in is what we've run the last 3 or 4 years on offense, then that's the way it needs to stay. And defensively the same. So we had some success on offense, and that's what we believed in from the start, so I didn't want it to change any. And our system hasn't changed. We think we have the flexibility to run the ball, and we have the flexibility to throw the ball, and hopefully if they try to shut down one phase, that we'll be able to go to another.
There is going to be a change in who's making the play calls on game day from the previous 2 years. Who's that going to be, and how is that going to have much of a drastic impact, if any?
It'll be the same as in the bowl.
It'll be you.
That's right.
That's a big responsibility. You feel comfortable now, 3 years into the head coach, that you can take on that role?
We're going to find out.
But you see people, Spurrier says he's giving it up. Weiss is giving it up at Notre Dame. There's not many doing it anymore, but why do you feel this is the best thing for your offense and your program?
Well, I really don't want to go into a lot of detail about it, and I've said this before. The way our system's run, it's really overrated. Our offense is at the line, and we have a play call, and the adjustments are made while the 40-second clock is running. And we'll have coaches in the box that are looking at things that the play caller couldn't see, and those adjustments are made. So I haven't talked much about it because being inside our system and for the last few years and seeing what happens, it can be somewhat overrated. Now, the system that Larry brought in here is a very good system. We believe in it, and Larry's a good football coach and is a good play caller. I'm not taking any of that away from him or the way it was. But a lot of what we do is based on reaction and what happens on game day. And myself, I have a lot of confidence in the guys in that offensive room. I believe in Looper and Brewer and Trooper and Wickline and Meacham. And I've said before, they all bring something different to the table. And it's enjoyable for me to be in there in the room with them during the week. And the strategy that goes into it is the funnest part as a coach. I'm speaking for myself. Being in my office and dealing with all the other issues is not fun. Going in there and coaching offense is fun. And so that's why that I'm back involved. And we just feel like that it's the best way to start. And it can change maybe in a game, or it can change maybe after a game. It's not like it has to be permanent. Because I've said before that I believe that there's several guys in that room that can call plays. It just starts with one person. And it's already done anyway. It's already scripted and finished for the first game. And it will be every week on Thursday morning prior to the Saturday game.
That dynamic in that offensive room with all those different personalities, Looper was telling me, he says, hey, sometimes it does get heated, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same page. Considering Luke, Doug, Gunner, and Wick have been together now 4 years, you feel comfortable that, hey, this, I mean, if you just be in the final say, but you've got enough confidence in those guys to get everyone on the same page for Saturday?
Yeah, it gets heated in there every day. There's a lot of strong personalities in there and guys that have come from systems and plays that they believe in. But we can't run them all. We only have to run the plays, or we only need to run the plays that our players can understand mentally and be able to execute on Saturday. So there's a lot of heated conversation that goes into that staff room. But I think that the best coaching staffs that I've been around or that I've talked to people that or have read about are the ones that all have an opinion. And then we walk out of there and we're on the same page, and our players understand that and they know that. And we don't come back in on Monday and say, I told you so. We don't believe in that. And it's the same thing that goes on with defense. But obviously we're talking about offense because that's where I sit. But there's no question that I have complete confidence in their ability to come up with a game plan.
Mike, who will be up in the box and who will be down on the field?
The same people as last year, except Brewer will flip. He'll go up and take Larry's spot. And then we either have Coach Meacham or Wickline go up and do the interior part. You always have a back-end guy and a front-end guy up there, and then a graduate assistant, you know.
Do you worry that the planning time that goes into putting the game plan together early on in the week will take away from some of that other stuff?
I don't think there's any question. And, you know, this was not something that I wanted to try to delay to make some big announcement. I'd prefer that nobody even asked me, to be honest with you, just because it's somewhat irrelevant. But that's the part that I enjoy doing. I enjoy that. So we may have to work a little bit longer as a staff during the season to get everything worked out and put ourselves in position on Saturday to give those guys a chance to have success. And we're a little bit further as a group, as a team. Fortunately, I haven't had to deal with as many issues that I don't like to deal with as I have 3 years ago. So that also cuts back on that time. And we're further along in our academic process with our academic support and class checking and just things that have to be dealt with every day. The system's in place now, and we don't have as many issues in those areas, so it does free up more time.
So are you still running the Larry Fedora offense, or is it now the Mike Gundy offense with a heavy Fedora influence?
Well, I think that the best way to put it is the offense that Larry brought in here was the attack that we wanted 4 years ago was a no-huddle, fast-paced system to where we could get the ball to skill players in space. And then I think that Coach Meacham and his background in the same type of system, and Coach Brewer's background in the throwing game, and Coach Looper's background in the option, I think that all that's been tied together. If you look at our offense our first year and then look at the second year, and I know the players were different, you'll see a different style of attack. You'll see much more run, much more play pass. So I think it's all come together. And certainly the system was in place when Larry got here, but those other guys had a big factor in what it's evolved to today. And now we're just trying to keep it up and running. And we'll have to make adjustments every year depending on our personnel. I mean, who are we trying to get the ball to? Who's the best players up front? Who's the most mature? Who can handle certain plays? Who can't? And try to tie it all together. But, I mean, we like the way the system is, but it'll look a little different every year just depending on who's executing it.
Mike, in fact, Larry credited you with the play action stuff, inserting that into the offense in year 2. Hadn't just about everybody in that room contributed something?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, Looper's got a thorough background in option, and we had a lot of success in option last year. Larry didn't run option at Florida, and Larry had a little bit of speed option at Middle Tennessee. So, you know, Looper had a lot to do with that. You know, the play action stuff that I wanted to have a part in, that, you know, Larry and I came to agreement on, you know, that filters all the way back to Les. I mean, so, you know, it just keeps working its way down. But those are things that we believed in as a group. Everybody puts it all out there on the table, and then we decide what's best, and then we put it together.
So could you say now it's kind of developed into a hybrid? It's its own little
It
personality?
has. It's got several different styles and plays that originally weren't in it. But I think that's part of being a good coach. You know, Larry was smart enough to listen to what everybody had and think it through, and then put in what he thought was comfortable or what we thought was comfortable. And then if he didn't want to do it, then we discussed it or we got rid of it. And I just think that's part of being a good coach, is that nobody has all the answers. You know, you have to listen and surround yourself with people that can have good input and take what's best for the players, not necessarily for the coaches. Most coaches can draw plays up all day, but that doesn't do you any good if they can't execute them on Saturday.
Mike, are you guys, you think you're better going to Seattle than you were going to Georgia last year? And I assume you are going to say yes. Explain why you think you're better. Is it overall talent?
Our team?
Yeah.
I think we're more mature and we have more depth, and I think we're faster on defense, which obviously gives you a chance, makes you feel better. I think we have some stability in our offense and what we're trying to accomplish. And I think that Zach's established himself as a leader, and I think the players see that. And those things make me feel like that we're a better team now. And, you know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we aren't. We'll find out.
Andre said, in terms of preparing for the first game, he's thought that things might have been done a little differently this year than last year in terms of he worked pretty hard. He felt like he maybe didn't have his legs, maybe some of the guys didn't have their legs because they were working so hard to get ready for Georgia last year. Did you do anything differently getting ready for this one versus getting ready for Georgia this year?
We're using the same amount of reps in practice. Everything we do in practice is based on reps. Once we go through individual period, we get approximately between 80 and 84 reps versus either the other team, which would be the defense and the offense against each other, or versus a team that we use to simulate Washington State. And we're still getting between 80 and 84 reps.
So just working smarter.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe I told him practice didn't last as long as he believed it. I don't know. I have a hard time answering that. But we haven't really changed much. It's been the same. I think that they're in good shape. I feel comfortable with where they're at physically. We had a week, John, of 75 and 80 degree weather too. We didn't have that last year. And then that may be the reason that they feel like that their legs are under them more.
Good?
Good? All right.